the very interactive and upcoming session. So without wasting much time, I would request to welcome all the panelists and moderator over the stage. Meanwhile, I will give you a brief quick introduction of the today's panelist. We have with us our first panelist, CS Anup Deshpande. He has an associate member of ICSI since 2009. He also holds the bachelor's degree in law and commerce from the Pune University. He is currently working with Sun Pharma company as the company secretary and compliance officer. He also been the member of the board of committee of corporate governance and ethics committee. And before his current role, he has spent around 8 years in consulting firms at PwC and EY also, where his specialization was advisory on corporate laws, merger acquisition, and many more. So that's a brief introduction of our first panelist. The second we have with us CS Deepak Manerkar. He is a qualified company secretary with over 25 years of experience in the field of corporate laws. He has worked with the various listed and unlisted entities, and currently he has been associated with Sri Renuka Sugars, which is a listed company since last 5 years as its compliance officer and company secretary. He has also been handling the additional responsibility of ESG, and who is very passionate about the environment protection and good governance. So that's the main reason why he has been granted that responsibility at his current company. So give a round of applause for him also. And last but not the least, we have with us Mr. Deepak Kumar, who is a risk professional with over 15 years of experience, and he has been successfully completed the FRM and SCR courses from GARP. He presently in the process of obtaining the doctorate degree in the climate related financial reporting and sustainability. He presently a deputy general manager and heading the ESG cell at the Union Bank of India. He also been the member of the Global Advisory Committee of GARP and subcommittees at IBA that are dedicated to ESG. He has authored a research paper on this topic and in the various forums and very many newspaper articles. So I welcome him also on the stage, and over to you, Chandan sir, to take the session forward.
Thank you. I think so. The post our first session and the second session, which was morely covered from a overall ESG journey and then BRSR. I think so. We are fortunate enough to have on our panel who, out of them, who is already company secretary and a sustainability guys from industry, from a pharma, from a manufacturing, and from a BFSI. So what we thought, so not restrict to manufacturing, and people believes ki bank mein BFSI mein kya hai, from a ESG perspective. But there are many more things from a BFSI perspective and from a Bombay perspective. As we know, Bombay being the financial capital, most of the banks are in Mumbai. So equally, either of us are in industry or with practicing, you have to deal with the BFSI sector. So we thought let's have. So not wasting additional time, but coming directly to point, because Anup, 70% of the crowd is practicing chartered accountant. Okay, either they are practicing in various services, as you know. For them, if they want to start an ESG practice as an assurance, as an advisor, etc., can you guide whom they need to meet in a company so that that can be their starting point?
Thanks. Straight on point, I think. He's come directly on the point that whom should we come and meet. Before I just answer this question, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to come to ICAI. And I really look forward to the insights coming from all the members on the panel and the questions from the audience. So coming back on Chandan's straight point, I think given the overall coverage, so by and large for initial few years, it was looked at as if it is just a compliance function, right? So which everybody now realizes that it is not just about compliance, it is not about compliance function only, but everybody across organization is relevant for this requirement. So now if we look at some larger organizations, there is a specific individual identified by each organization who is ESG head for the company, who is like a focal point or the point of contact, where each department and each constituent of ESG related aspects is considered, and that person's contact details are generally published in the sustainability report, in the annual reports, as well as on the company's website. So straight answer to the straight question is, you will find those details. There will be an individual who will be ESG head for the company, who should be contacted and who is the right person.
Okay, nice. So that now minimum once they go out of this full day workshop, yes, they can start searching for ESG heads point blank. So thanks Anu for that. In our earlier sessions, Deepak Kumar, we discussed about value chain. I don't think so. We in our first or second session we have given a lot of detailed insight. But yes, what is value chain? What is value chain important, etc. We have explained them. But as a company, how you can measure, report the impact of value chain from an ESG goal perspective at a company level? If you can put some light, so that as a chartered accountants or as a person who are in industry, they'll come to know how much important it is value chain along with the own standalone or console companies.
Yes, so good afternoon everyone. It's my pleasure to be here at ICAI and in front of all of you. So thank you for inviting me. So just before coming to the value chain part, so let me again give some addition to what question sir has asked earlier. So apart from ESG head or sustainability head, so there are certain other departments also who are looking after sustainability. So in many of the organizations where I know, so company secretarial department or board secretarial department is the one who is taking care of BRSR or other reporting related aspects. So those also you can contact. And in some organizations, CFO office also looks after these aspects. Now coming to value chain related aspects, so as you might have understood till now, so there are three scopes, scope 1, 2 and 3. So scope 3 is a part of indirect emission, and there are 15 categories for that. So category 1 to category 15. And basically these categories are nothing but the upstream and downstream activities of any company. So when we take any company, so for example it's a manufacturing firm, so as a part of their manufacturing activity, so whatever energy which they are consuming, so that is their scope 1. Whatever electricity that they are consuming is their scope 2. And then apart from that, whatever is left out, so everything is under scope 3, either upstream or downstream. So in fact, if a company has hired a certain contractor who is taking raw materials from one place to the factory, and then company has also got some distributors, some channel partners, and then those goods are getting transported from factory to their distributors and then to retailers, and then overall whatever end use happens, and then how the product is recycled. So these are all part of scope 3 value chain. So basically what we need to see is that what are the capital goods which are getting consumed in the company, then what are the services which are getting consumed, then employee travel. So for example, for organizations like us, so among category 1 to 14, so employee travel is one of the major factors, then leased assets, and then other upstream and downstream activities related fuel and other emissions. Then coming from the BFSI sector, so for us, category 15 emission is the most important emission. In fact, by some standards, so category 15 emission, so which stands for emissions in investment. So basically, whatever loans or whatever investments we make, so we have to measure emission under that. So that emission is most important for any financial firm. And by some estimates, the scope 3 category 15 emission is about 700 to 900 times more than the scope 1, 2 and category 1 to 14 emissions of a bank. So that's why as a financial institution, so we are more focused on our category 15 emission, because if country has to achieve its net zero target, then banks are going to be the ways and means by which country would be achieving that target. And by using banks, what can be done is that the capital can be taken away from the sectors which are emission intensive to the sectors which are carbon positive. So that's where category 15 scope 3 emission comes into play. Thank you.
Okay, nice. I think so. Just to correlate, because in our earlier session, scope 3 was something being discussed. So in scope 3, he meant there are 16 different subcategories through which the information need to be collected, which are applicable to all the companies. It might be that those 16, 4, 5 are applicable to an next company and others. So that way, those are the categories. So further, our knowledge has increased today, that if someone asks you scope 3 matlab kya, or how many are there? So this is something what he was saying, and out of that various matters, 15th is something which impacts BFSI. So we need to, from a very logical answers perspective, because most of them are hearing ESG for first time. Some of them have done ESG for several years, but for them, it's that those parameters what he was referring to. And thanks, that gives, even for me, that was that 15th category is relevant for a BFSI perspective.
And just to add what Mr. Deepak has said, I think there are many companies which do ESG ratings of different companies which are been accessed by investors across the world, like CRISIL, MSCI, all these do ratings, and the better the rating, the more better access to green capital you have.
Good. From as you were mentioning about a rating, so there was a question in earlier discussion, is if someone adopt an ESG in true essence, whether that will help from a brand perspective, whether that will improve a brand image, whether that will give a benefit to a company, and most important, as it's very difficult to convince within the team on the complying on the ESG, etc. How much, what level of push and how it need to be done at a company level so that the brand image benefit is out of it?
Yeah, thanks. So thank you WRC for welcoming me here. This is the first time I'm speaking on the forum of ICSI. Building a brand, whether it is of a product or a company, takes years of efforts. It is not just that you start one day and the next day it becomes famous. So there are many brands who have been built over a number of years of efforts put in the building of the brand, the quality for which the brand stands, and similarly in respect of companies, the building the image of the company. It is not that in one day the companies have come and become famous. So there are years of efforts put in at various levels to build that trust and to improve the image of the company. So firstly, just my view, I'll just put my view across, that I believe that ESG is not just about environment, it is also more about society as a whole, and also the most important part, as Chandan had pointed out in his earlier presentation, governance forms the base of all the ESG efforts. So there are various regulations, as we know that in some way or the other, they have the ESG as a concept embedded, like Section 135 of the Companies Act, listing regulations. There are certain corporate governance provisions in the Companies Act which prescribe certain corporate governance requirements. There are HR laws, POSH regulations. So ESG comes to us in different perspectives in different regulations. Now, the regulations prescribe certain thresholds beyond which, if you go, then the compliances are applicable. Like in Section 135 prescribes thresholds based on profitability, turnover, So someday you might be within that limit, someday you might be beyond that limit. But the companies which consistently continue to put in effort on the ESG initiatives such as CSR or compliance with the pollution regulations, being employee friendly, having a good diversity of board, like the listing regulations and the Companies Act also prescribe that the board should have certain minimum number of women directors, and there should be an ideal mix of executive, non-executive directors, independent directors. But the companies which go beyond that and follow these directives, even if they are not applicable, and they do it on year basis, then those companies create a different image in the eyes of the community as a whole. Because see, there are companies, Section 135 CSR came into effect in 2013. But there have been companies which have been doing these activities for time immemorial. I mean, if you can see the Tata Group or many other reputed groups, they have been doing this for from the time we can remember. So it is not just about compliance. It is about having the right having your mind in the right place. And that mind in the right place should start from the top management. So as long as the top management is well aware that it needs to do certain things without being bound by the law to do it, and it does it consistently over the years, then such type of companies become a role model for other companies and to follow. So that is my take on this.
Okay, nice. And, I think so. Nice thought. So he took an example of Tata Group. Okay. He said from the days when we remember or we born, we heard about Tata from a corporate governance perspective, social perspective, etc. Do you believe, for example, there is whether Tata over the period, knowing unknowingly, for their policies, and now the companies who are following ESG, if they follow ESG and we see in the market they're following the ESG, whether the brand image we believe would change or not change? Just a question to all of you. Whenever we buy any product from any of the companies, if we believe that that particular company group is doing some impact, as a social impact in a market, do we prefer that as against some other product from a brand image perspective? Yes or no? Yes. That's what I think so is a straightforward answer. If on a long run basis, if we are complying with an ESG as a broader framework to environment, social, and with a good corporate governance, I think so brand image definitely will have a larger impact to us as a consumer.
So just to tell you all of you, because I have worked for a brief while with the Tata Group. So Tata Group had a code of conduct in place ever since, long before these rules came into force. So this code of conduct might be applicable regarding the related party transactions, regarding the prevention of sexual harassment, anti-bribery and anti-corruption. And you had a policy in the Tata Group that you cannot accept or give gifts to anybody. So such kind of policies have been there in such kind of companies for time immemorial, and it is all because of this coordinated effort that such kind of companies have got a good brand reputation in the market. And once you get that kind of a brand reputation, automatically the people start believing in you and believing in your products, and overall the company gets benefited out of this. Once your sales starts improving, that is the ultimate aim of any company.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Deepak. I think so, Anup, you covered on our 70% population's query on CA, how and what they need to approach. But we have a lot of people sitting here from industry. Either they are in a sustainability team or they are not in a sustainability team. But if they want to join in a sustainability team, or if they are in a sustainability team and you as an organization, you have seen the journey of your own your company where you are right now part of sustainability. So please help us on the journey and the team, especially more on the team. how to build a sustainability team in an industry so that in a very short span of time, or I could say otherwise, दूसरों की गलती से सीखो. So that way, please give us some insights for our industry folks how to build a sustainability team in a company.
Sure. So like both the Deepak Ji's mentioned in their answers, that it is, and to adding to what I had said initially, that it is not about compliance function but goes beyond, because there are quite a few aspects that come in and constitute ESG as a component. So when we look at that, when in our company also the journey began on sustainability report voluntarily. Initially that was taken up by the finance department to mean the finance and compliance functions. But later only, or soon for us to realize that it is very insignificant if only people from the compliance background and the finance background try and collate that information that is required to go into the sustainability report. Over the period, therefore, then we have realized is that like Deepak Ji was mentioning about CSR being one of the key components on the social aspect. Then CSR team, and a lot of companies of big size now have different teams for each of these components. So CSR team therefore becomes a very important aspect. Likewise, engineering team, which otherwise is not considered to be relevant for any compliance related function, becomes very critical function when it comes to ESG team or ESG group as such, because a lot of the environment related aspects, the validation, the data collation or assurance for that matter comes from and becomes the responsibility of the engineering departments for a manufacturing entity. So from that point of view, over the period what we have reached out to is that one is this sustainability related angle or sustainability report for that matter was not taken initially to the board. So there was no board committee or board mandate that we had. So eventually it was brought as part of the, earlier we had something called a voluntary committee of the board, which is corporate governance and ethics committee, which is to look at various aspects, specifically RPTs, then code of conduct being the core of it. So subsequently last year we have modified that team committee's terms of reference to say that to include ESG aspects into it. So now we call that committee as corporate governance and ESG committee. So that is one. Now in terms of the structure, the board committee therefore becomes the guiding force, and below that we have something called a ESG council. So as I said, compliance, human resources, CSR, engineering, all those departments are relevant. Therefore, heads of the finance department, head of CHRO, head of HR department, the manufacturing heads in the company, the group of these four people constitutes the ESG council for us. So ESG council takes directions from the ESG committee, means the board, and then implements it using their respective department. Now, while implementing this, there is one dedicated ESG team which is a mix of finance people and engineering background individuals, who will then anchor the project and be the point of contact for various departments and functions to provide that input to it. Because over the course, we will of course in other questions we'll discuss about a big aspect of data collection, and then dissemination of information, and some sort of a duplication or overlap that we'll have. But in a nutshell, if you have to talk about constituting a team, this is how the structure that is being looked at, and I'm sure there will be a lot of companies will have such similar structure.
Okay, thanks. Anup, I think so. You gave an overview from a big corporate companies, correct? There might be, for example, now in next 2 year value chain is something where ESG would be applicable reporting. They might not have such big structure,
Correct.
big team.
I think that is the point.
There can, if out of these four, which is still logical to start with, one of the department who can pick up, basis your experience, because answer would be different for the different companies, but still if you believe that it should be taken up by finance or it should be taken up by EHS, because most of the companies has an EHS head, correct? I'm talking about that 500,000, 200, 2,000 crore companies, they will have an EHS head.
Correct.
Correct? They will have a company secretary. They will have a finance head. They will have an HR head.
Correct.
Either of the people might not want to take all the responsibility, but if you don't give to one, it will never happen.
Correct.
So logically, from the quantum perspective, for those 500,000 crores, 2,000 crore companies, if you want to answer, what would be that one truth as per you to start with?
So I'm not sure if for ESG and the coverage that it has got, it will be appropriate to expect or cast that responsibility on only one of the functions. And that's where the idea of ESG council that stuck to us, because not only the CFO, not only the manufacturing head can be vested with that responsibility because of the very coverage of the aspects. And therefore, I think even in a smaller companies, people who are playing some roles, a combined responsibility is what I think will be very practical, even if we consider a smaller size of operations.
Okay. So tomorrow I can correlate and ask a thought, this question, because many of us, when we meet our clients, when we tell them कि ESG आ गया, या they hear ESG आ गया, तो they ask us question, अरे किसको responsibility बनाए, किसको दे, कैसे करे, ESG policies बनानी है, ESG implement करना है, तो they come to us as a chartered accountant, क्या करूँ, कैसे करूँ?
In fact, for smaller size of companies where we envisage that in-house individuals may not be enough, or they do not have bandwidth, I think that is a bigger chunk of opportunities for the professional like the ones present here, where the entire activity can be outsourced sorts and taken care, because even if I was telling whatever structure we have got and so many dedicated team members looking after ESG, we still have a couple of consultants, our reliance and dependability on them. So if with the entire in-house structure being there is a relevance of consultant, then for a smaller companies, consultancy is all the more relevant situation is what I believe.
So in short, he is saying
Just to
more work for all of us.
Just to add to what Anup and Chandan have been saying, so I work in a sugar companies where almost 95% of our suppliers are farmers, and they are in thousands. So even in that case, what is relevant for the farmers is to improvement in their output and the quality of output and how better they can earn. So in that case, just giving an example of my company, we engage with the farmers. We have a separate team, which is we call the cane team. They engage with the cane suppliers and educate them on better farming practices, sustainable farming practices. You might not know, because now even sugarcane is grown through drip irrigation. So we are teaching the farmers on this kind of sustainable practices, which are good for the environment also, and which improves their output and their productivity, and as a consequence, their income. And it's become a win-win situation for both us and as well as our suppliers, which I mean are the real annadata of the country.
Very good point of correlation between an ESG, which many people believe as a compliance, versus a value addition to our suppliers, and how we can integrate between improving the quality for the farmers and still sustainability and compliance, etc. I think so. These are few thinner points which we as a consultant or as an industry people, you can try to identify and share within the ESG committee or with the ESG head, through which the furthermore betterment of the business can be done. I think so. That's it what we need to start identifying, because at times there would be companies who would come and tell you, ठीक है, ESG ये वो सब ठीक है, मेरे को net zero करना है, या मेरे को ESG का एक strategy बनाना है, wherein we do real ESG for ये. Please guide and suggest various ways in my company how I can do it, other than those compliance. So as an advisor, we need to start identifying industry specific, some of the pointers through which they can be carbon neutral or benefit to society, to supplier, customer, as the case may be. I think so. That is what we all need to start thinking of, is what I believe. Deepak ji, the overall, already there is a lot of regulations, and BFSI is a regulated industry overall. Lot of rules, regulations, etc. are there. Many of people who are sitting here might want to know which are those two key items within BFSI sector where there could be a lot of emissions. When I mean emissions, because S and G they might still understand because they are the auditors for banking, etc. But from an E perspective, can you put some light or give 2 points minimum, which are the key ones from an E perspective, from a BFSI sector perspective?
Yes. So So basically, when we look at loan proposals, I will tell you from that perspective. So we have got two types of books. One is one which we call as front book, and another we call as back book. So front book is basically the loans which are new to bank, and back book is the loans which are already continuing, and we have to do review renewal or revalidation of those loans. So the key environmental related factors which we see is generally so we have got a concept called ESG scorecard for these types of activities. So ESG scorecard is basically a scorecard wherein parameters related to environmental, social and governance are embedded in those scorecards. Then coming to the details of those scorecards, so what generally gets covered. So in E, generally points related to emissions are getting covered. Then water use is related, waste related, and land use related. So all these data points are getting covered. And how we have devised this ESG scorecard is that, so these scorecards are different for different sectors. So for example, what is relevant for steel may not be relevant for hotels. So we have got different scorecards depending upon the sectors. And then the number of data points which are available for a listed company. So listed companies are under a lot of obligation, and their disclosures are very huge. So the ESG data points are used for those. So their ESG scorecard is very comprehensive compared to some unlisted corporate or mid-corporate proposal, wherein the data points are few. And we also have got some basic scorecard for MSMEs, wherein we estimate the emission which that MSME is producing, and that is one of the basic data points which we use.
Thank you. Thank you, that helps. Anup, you want to add from a pharma perspective, which are the two key emissions is key, is be it scope 1, scope 2, whatever, from a pharma perspective? Because what we as advisors or an assurance providers, we want to know much more better about each industry, because each industry works in a different way. Like he said, MSMEs, loans, etc. are from BFSI perspective. What would be from a pharma perspective?
From pharma perspective, I think it is about the APIs.
Okay.
So APIs that is manufactured or that is procured. So the manufacturing of API would be an area where there is a involvement of a lot of chemical manufacturing as well. So I think those are the aspects I would believe from pharma point of view become relevant.
Okay, okay. Good, good. That adds to our knowledge overall. Deepak, I think so continuing with the earlier question, which you gave an example of a farmer, how company can integrate their ESG policy with the corporate strategy overall, from ensuring that the sustainability goals, those 17 SGDs which Supriya had shared in the morning, and from a corporate goals perspective, how it can be integrated and really made like real goals for the company?
Yeah, nice question. See, framing strategy around sustainability, I think it is a two-pronged approach. One is to ensure that your existing policies, your existing processes align with the ESG, your ESG goals. And the second part would be to see whether when you are going for a capacity expansion or a product expansion, how that can be made a sustainable aspect. So coming to the first part where you need to align your ESG, your processes and your policies with the ESG principles. For that, first thing I think we need to do is to make a fact check of where the company stands in respect of the 9 principles of BRSR which have been specified, and then analyze the data and change your policies and processes to align your company's processes and policies with those. And for this purpose, what we need is to have a dedicated, as Anup has informed that, need to have a ESG committee and an ESG council who is empowered enough to take the decisions, empowered enough by the board to take the decisions that might be necessary to correct these anomalies. Second thing is when a company is going for a new product launch or a new capacity setup, they can think of bringing sustainability into the product itself.
Okay.
How that product can be sustainable. I mean, I came across a product recently where it was a simple tablet which is a hand wash. It is packed in small quantities. You just put that in water and use it as a hand wash. So such kind of innovation, I mean, what it does is basically it removes tons and tons of plastic usage from the environment. Where the what you get a hand wash now is in plastic packets. So it is just a small tablet which you can just put in your water, your container, and use it. So such kind of innovations can play a big role when it comes to thinking of your product mixes. I'm just giving you an example. It may not be that specific. Secondly, I mean, when you are designing your plant or designing your processes, make it friendly for the differently abled people. Ensure that a lot of workforce in that plant or factory comprises of women. So I have seen companies in heavy engineering companies also, like Bajaj Auto, and these people, or even Ola Electric for that matter, they have shop floors which are run totally by women. So this kind of things, when we are designing a strategy that can be embedded in your policies itself, in the strategy itself, that your processes are aligned with the ESG principles. I mean, ESG is not just environment. Your society, as well as society forms a big role in your society in the ESG concept.
Okay, nice. I think so. Question to all three of you. You are part of the company and the ESG world, BRSR world in last 2, 3, 5 or a decade plus more. Can you just give one odd example where you believe in your organization, whichever team has done it, but something which is impactful in an E, S or G as part of this ESG? Because what we want to know is ESG compliance to aa gaya. But as part of that ESG compliance, individual companies are doing a lot of activities. Just share one odd example which you believe at your company level through the initiative over the last 3-5 years, one odd item at an E, S or G, it has impacted at a company or at an overall level. Whatever example, that helps us.
So anyways, from the economic point of view, green energy or the alternative energy options were considered anyways, but the entire ESG reporting and the sustainability index, then the rankings on those index and its relevance from the investors and the financing point of view has given that additional push for which I have seen over the period in our organization, that the alternative energy or green energy related options are being evaluated more aggressively and implemented as soon as possible.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
So at our company, inherently we are, you can say, a carbon net zero emission company, because our main, source is this raw material is sugarcane, which is processed and sugar is made, and we also make ethanol. Right? And we here look at, we see ourselves as an energy player more than being a sugarcane company. But what happens in the process is that a lot of bagasse is generated. And that bagasse is essentially used by us to generate power. That bagasse forms the main raw material to run our boilers. That power is generated, and the entire power which is generated is not only used by us, but it is also exported to the grid. So that way, we are net zero in terms of power consumption. We are net suppliers of power, green power. Secondly, what we pride ourselves is in the all our facilities being a zero liquid discharge facilities.
Okay.
And also, as I said, we also continuously engage with the communities that we are part of, like the farming community, where we provide continuous training. Not only that, we also engage with the farm laborers, especially the female laborers, where we give them training on menstrual hygiene and taking care of their health. And we also support educations, schools in some of the facilities around, the communities around our facilities.
Nice.
Yes, so from BFSI sector, the last 3 years, the major change has been development of new products from sustainability point of view. So whatever traditional products were there in banks, so we are getting a new variant of those products which are more sustainability focused, which are more green focused, and we will be seeing this trend more and more in future. So for example, earlier we used to have a product of vehicle loan. Now we have got a separate product for electric vehicle loan. We had a separate product for home loan. Now, so for the same, we already have a product on green home. Similarly, there is a product which is under development for EV charging infra, which is which would be a new product in itself. Then, from opportunity point of view, so banks are looking at different sectors which are emerging in nature. So, for example, renewable is one sector wherein lending is going to be used in future, seeing the energy need and commitment of our country to achieve net zero by 2070. And from the resources side also, so by resources, what I mean is that, so for example, as a bank, we raise deposits. Now banks have also launched products, so as per RBI guidelines, green deposit related products, although those have not picked up. But from the resources side, a lot of new avenues are being explored by the bank. So for example, by taking line of credit from multilateral development banks, which would be helping banks to fund their green lending portfolio. So that's one avenue. Then there are ample opportunities from the green bond point of view or social bond point of view, which is being explored. And some new sustainable finance related opportunities which are going to come up, in which sustainability linked loan is one new variant which is going to be mainstream. So it's already mainstream in most of the developed countries. So in India, a few use cases are there. So basically how this work is that there are certain key performance indicators. So if they are achieved, then rate of interest gets reduced by certain number of basis points. And if they are not achieved, then the rate of interest gets increased by certain number of basis points. So moving forward, the trend which we see, and it has already started in developed economies, and this will soon pick up in India also, that most of the loans, especially for hard to abate sectors like steel, cement, oil and gas, power, so most of the loans would be sustainability linked loans.
Okay. Coming to on the sustainability loans perspective, most of us here are chartered accountants, and they do work in debt syndication. Okay, there are at times client approaching them and asking how the rate of interest can be reduced. So as of now, from a market perspective, whether a bank where you are or any other bank in India, for a larger project, if someone wants a loan, which is they take a loan used for the sustainable developments, yeah, then whether the rate of interest, you mentioned few of the aspects, but whether then just they want to know which are those banks in India currently who are dealing in those, and if not, what's the way forward for it?
Okay. So most of the banks are are aware of, about this product and this facility, and banks like us. So we have started a few discussions with players in steel and cement, and there are a few foreign banks which have already done a few deals related to that. So basically, how this works is that banks sit with client, and there is a third-party assurance provider. That party has to agree that there would be certain terms and conditions. So, for example, at the time of booking of loan, so there would be certain targets which will be discussed upfront, and then that assurance provider has to agree that okay, these targets are relevant for this customer, and these are challenging, and if they are achieved, then there would be substantial contribution to the sustainability profile of that firm. And once those targets are agreed, then those loans are underwritten, and then there is periodic review of those targets. So this is how these loans are structured, and there are already a few use cases. So for example, JSW Steel is one such example, and in cement also there has been a few examples. And there are also a few cases related to social related aspects. So wherein it might not be related to the environmental related aspects, but in case, so for example, if some company proposes that if some housing finance company is there and they propose that that whatever loan which they are taking from the bank to fund that NBFC, so 20% of that loan would be going for low income group. So in that case also there can be rate of reduction in the rate of interest for such customers.
So how much largely the rate of interest reduction is there? Very range, 0.25 basis point to 1 basis point, or how it happens? Normally, depends on definitely the quantum and the stringency, but largely, what do you see in the market?
Plus minus 50 basis point.
Plus minus 50 basis
is the
point.
norm in India. Overseas, it's up to maximum 25 basis point.
Okay, India 50 basis point. Do all of us believe that this is a good starting point to be discussed with our clients? Yes or no? That tomorrow we can tell our client, yes, you are looking from a debt funding perspective, either we are doing a debt syndication, etc., or we are from a company. All of us can just discuss with our bankers. And what I heard is it's not limited to E, it might be S. If we can say we will have a 50% diversity ratio in our company, just an example, and
yes,
if that helps, why not?
Just to add to what Deepak ji was saying, that in addition to the banks offering a discounted rate of interest for environmentally positive industries, we are in the business of producing ethanol, which is considered to be an environmentally friendly fuel, because the carbon emissions from ethanol are almost 1/10 of what you get from the petrol or diesel driven cars. So the government, as all of you must be knowing, the government is promoting 20% blending of ethanol into petrol. And to encourage companies to manufacture ethanol, the government of India, under the Ministry of Agriculture, and NABARD being the implementing agency, has started the interest subvention schemes for companies who want to venture out in the business of producing ethanol. Be it from any sources, it can be from sugarcane, it can be from bamboo, it can be from grain, corn, whatever. But there are certain schemes of the government which we need to explore to get the utmost benefit of, it can further sustain the goal of ESG.
That's nice and interesting. Before Anup, you also add to it. I think so. All of us need to understand. We have more 20-30 minutes will continue with the discussion and Q&A. But what I want to tell all of you, be ready with your questions, because there might be a lot of insights for us to, through ESG as a mode for us to approach clients, benefit clients, give a benefit to our clients, or if you are from an industry perspective, if you are in a finance team, these are the initiatives which you can discuss with your management that apan loan we can get at a subsidized rate with different. And there might be many more things as we discussed and in ESG, because from a government of India perspective, they want to ensure that we have to be net zero by that period. For that, whatever initiatives need to be done, like the ones which he said, will come. Over to you, Anu.
Just wanted to add one more point. So one is about financing and the attraction for getting the better deal in terms of finances. Also in terms of greenfield projects being set up. If there is a commitment that we will employ 100% women workforce, even governments are very proactive in giving a lot of additional benefits than the benefits given in a particular area.
And there might be many more. The more diversity, the more inclusivity we do, I think so. It's only about proving that there is an impact what you are creating or an ESG as a company for you to claim some benefits is what I can take as a key takeaway. Good. So recently in last 100 odd days, geopolitically we are hearing a different, I would say, on ESG. US, we hear a different story, and in those stories also we hear different things. There are companies what I hear saying we want to be more climate driven or ESG driven companies. When I mean from government we hear a different story. There are companies in US who are from in India there are a lot of customers who are supplying them. There are a lot of stringent norms from an ESG perspective. So you can throw light in near future what you see, how it will go, and how much genuinely and seriously ESG is going to stay here, even if tomorrow US takes a hard stand, whether anything might change in India, EU, just your thoughts on it?
I think from my understanding, what I see is European Union as such is quite serious, and they continue to remain serious about all these aspects. Earlier also, about a decade back, we had a whole big talk about carbon credits and dealing in carbon credits. All of that got vanished instantly. The carbon credits lost its value, primarily because of the big player or the influencing player, which is USA, pulled out of it. So now the new government coming in USA, there will be some impact seen in terms of the global policy or policy push point of view. But the aspects like what Deepak ji was mentioning about their company giving education to farmers on drip irrigation for sugarcane production. Those aspects, irrespective of any government push, irrespective of any other benefits or any other attractions, I think would continue to be in effect. Of course, there will be some because of the new government in US taking very harsh stance on the diversity, inclusion, etc. There will be some impact that we'll see, but on a long term, I think these aspects, ESG is going to be there and it will remain valid throughout, not because of the push at a global level, but because of its utility and benefits to the organization and the society around.
Okay, good.
More than the government policies, it is the awareness that has been created among the companies and the society as a whole on environment and various aspects of the labor, such as companies avoiding child labor or companies who are engaging 100% women workforce. So a lot of awareness has been created, not just in India but around the world, about sustainable production practices and environment-friendly production practices and society-friendly production practices, and practices which are free of exploitation. So these practices or this kind of awareness will continue to have relevance across the globe, irrespective of the governments which are at power.
Okay, nice. So again, a question to all of you. Currently, we hear a lot that ESG currently done at a corporate level is a mixed approach. Some are following, some are not following. When I mean, yes, compliance is done by all, but from an essence perspective, some are doing, some are not. You might have a lot of friends across the industry. From an industry perspective, not specific company, but an industry perspective, do you see a seriousness is there at a board level? Now I am asking, at a board level, when there are board discussions, board level thoughts are being shared, really ESG, when I mean ESG, I would say sustainability rather, because from an India perspective, ESG is a BRSR, etc. From a sustainability perspective, what do you see the discussions are happening at a board level, and how much you believe at a India corporate level, those are taken seriously?
Yes, so just to add to the previous question and this question also, so just to mix this. So what is happening in US has impacted different sectors, and especially BFSI also a lot. So if you see in last 2 months, so a lot of top banks have moved out of Net Zero Banking Alliance. That was initially very shocking, but now the statement which has come from them is that they are committed towards whatever activities which they were doing. So they are committed, but they have just pulled out of this because they don't want to commit at this stage, because they are not sure that how this is going to shape up. Okay, but from corporate side, especially from the developed market and from companies which are there in US, so there is a lot of pullback from these kind of activities, whether it is diversity, equity and inclusion, or any alliance related to net zero, because they don't want to show themselves as anti-government, or they just want to show themselves as pro-business, that's all. But coming to countries like India, China and countries in Europe, so the story remains the same. So even though ESG as a word is now more seen in a negative term when it comes to corporates, but the story will remain the same and the focus will always remain the same. At board level, so what we generally see is that in most of the organizations, so at board level there is a separate committee which has been subcommittee at board level which has been constituted, which looks after sustainability related aspects. And also, if you follow international reporting guidelines, so for example, Task Force on Climate Related Financial Disclosures, so that's the ultimate reporting standard for climate related risk, and now it has come in the form of ISSB. So ISSB has given IFRS S1 and S2. So S1 talks about sustainability related impact on company, and S2 talks about climate risk and opportunities related impact on company. So if you see both of these two guidelines, so they have got a key pillar named governance among the 4 key pillars, and in the governance they talk about that what is the board level roles and responsibility related to sustainability and related to climate risk and opportunities at board level, and then at the top management level, at the executive level, so how those roles and responsibilities has been defined, how it has been percolated down below. So that's one of the key requirements which has come in 2017 from TCFD, and now it has become mainstream as a part of ISSB. And over a period of time, the aim of ISSB is that to converge IFRS financial reporting with the sustainability related reporting. So both of these reportings would be coming together, so that when an investor is making any decision regarding any company, so they can take that into account while valuing any company. And for that matter, governance related aspect and the disclosures which are given as per IFRS S1 and S2. So those would play a very important role, and most of the organizations are now complying as well as using that as a part of a strategy.
Okay, that helps. Others, you want to add if any thing?
Just to add what Deepak ji was saying, that yes, there has been a lot of awareness being created in the boards of at least small, middle-sized to big companies about the importance of ESG, especially governance, in when it comes to their functioning, and the regulators also